Hello and welcome to Career Center. I'm Kimberly White, Executive Director of the Community Career Center, a resource center located in Naperville for people in career transition. I'm happy to have leadership consultant Barbara Wichman as my guest today to discuss why leadership is an important topic in the career arena. Barbara, welcome.
Hi, thanks for having me,
Thank
Kim.
you so much for coming in and talking to our audience today. I know that currently you are a leadership consultant, but you've also done work in the corporate arena. And I'd like to just hear a little bit about your background, and we'll go from there.
Sure. Well, I spent about 22, 23 years in corporate America, and with some of the companies locally that you might hear. So you know Sears, Motorola, Surly. And during that time, I was always in the role of organizational development, talent development, or leadership development, which means basically my job was to help the corporation grow, help the organization grow, look at strategy, look at structure, and then look at the individuals within the organization to make sure that they were the right leaders. Do they have the right competencies? So I did that for those companies in a global role. So my experience has been pretty exciting over the past 20-some years.
Yeah. So in those roles, so you're working right in the C-suite, and you're helping to develop and work with those leaders.
Absolutely.
In order to create a culture, if you will.
Absolutely.
In the company. Have you yourself experienced laying off folks while?
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I've also been in a human resources role in addition to all of those. So I have been on the side of laying off people during the times when businesses were really downgrading and having to let people go. It's a very uncomfortable, very terrible thing to have to do as a human resources professional. I also have been on the other side of that, where companies have, split up or been acquired, and also been on the receiving end of being laid off as well. So I have both sides of the equation.
Both sides. And how have things changed over the years? Have you noticed kind of a change in how folks are being laid off, or is there a right or wrong way to do it?
That's a good question. There's two sides of the story. There's the legal aspect. And sometimes the legal aspect doesn't allow you to be as maybe human as you want to be. There's certain things you can and cannot say. And those who are doing the layoffs go through a lot of coaching to understand what those laws are. On the other hand, it's such a human event. I mean, you are impacting people's lives. In some cases, there's stories where people have, a spouse who's ill at home, and they're now concerned not just about their job, but about insurance. So there's so many things that you need to really think about. So it's not just about the act of laying off, but it's making sure that you have services and support for those individuals after they leave that day to really help them transition to the next phase of their life and make it as comfortable as possible as you can.
So you try to make it unique to each person. I mean, you try to find out what's going on, and then I'm assuming they're still doing that today.
I hope so.
Yeah.
I certainly hope so. I haven't done layoffs for a long time, but I think that's true. I think that maybe during a time when the businesses, what was it, the 2008, when things were really bad and you had mass layoffs, it probably felt more like a production line, and that probably didn't feel good for anyone. And I know I've had human resources friends who they're just exhausted, and they get really upset over what they have to do. It's a really difficult place to be for those doing it as well as those on the receiving end.
And in your role as a leadership person in those companies, were you able to, and then were you received well by giving advice and feedback on how to make sure these layoffs were happening?
Absolutely. Whenever that decision is made, no matter what level you're at, it's difficult for everyone. It's a difficult conversation to have. There's always concern and care about the people. So there's always a lot of conversation going on before, during, and after that event.
So I want to talk a little bit about corporate, in your corporate role, but then you decided to switch and start doing consulting and leadership. Why was that? What was kind of the thing that drew you to doing that?
Well, I'll tell you what, I've had a great career. I've had a tremendous career, and I say, I have had the ability to travel to hundreds of places around the world and touch thousands of people around the world. And that is a great experience. Not everyone gets that experience. Right. However, having done all that, there's more that I want to do. There's more change in the world that I want to create. There's more awareness that I want to create outside of the confines of a corporate environment. It doesn't mean that corporate's bad. It just means that I want to be able to touch more people on a larger scale.
That's important to do. I think you have a quote I think I heard you say about you want to create happy people. What was the quote that I read about that you said?
What I really say is, I want to create awareness so that people can be happy, make better people, make better decisions for better relationships to have a happier world.
Yeah.
Because in the long run, that's what we all want. We all want to be happier. Unfortunately, our brains are wired for survival. Those two are in conflict all the time. So the more that we can help people really feel good because they have done the right things as well and taken responsibility and accountability and made things right, we can have a much better world out there.
Right. All right, so I want to delve right into our topic here. So why is leadership an important topic in the career arena?
Oh, it's hugely important. From anywhere from interviewing to getting the job and starting it and being on the succession plan, across the board, leadership is critical. And the reason is because leadership capabilities aren't just for people who have titles of leaders. Leadership capabilities are things like honesty, integrity, accountability, decision-making.
And that's everybody in the workplace.
Everybody. Yeah. So when we're interviewing for someone, they may not be in a managerial position or a leadership position, have people reporting into them, but we are always looking at those capabilities. So you may not say that I'm a leader, but you have to have the skills and capabilities as a leader.
Everybody does.
Everybody does, because you never know when a situation's going to arise that you're required to step into that role and be a leader at that time. I'll tell you a quick story.
Yeah.
So I have an uncle who just passed, and he was in his 80s. And during his eulogy, they said the most amazing thing. They said he never called himself a leader, but he was always leading. And I thought, wow, what a great legacy to leave. And I think that's really described what we're always looking for within the role of a corporate situation or a volunteer or whatever it is. We want people to have those capabilities of always leading.
Right.
Yeah.
And you mentioned taking a step back and looking at leadership from a holistic vantage point. So you talk about job seekers, transitions, looking to make changes, looking for career advancement. Everybody needs to be doing that.
Everybody has to be doing it. It's not something that you can isolate as I'm going to go get a job and all I care about are my skills for the particular role. It is all encompassing. It's the whole person that we're hiring. We're not just hiring for you to do that job. We're hiring you to be a person who's going to come in and build relationships, be part of the success, and help wherever you are grow.
Yeah, that's part of that interview process. They want to know that they're bringing you on and you can be part of the team and do that.
Yeah.
What is the leadership platform and why is that so important?
So the leadership platform, think of it like this. So if you've ever been to a museum and you've seen a work of art sitting on a platform in the middle of the room, that's what I call the leadership platform. People will often call it the, like, whatever you stand for. But really what it is, you're on stage all the time. People have a view of you that's 360 degrees as a leader. So when you think about if you go to the museum, you see the statue, what do? You walk around the statue, you look at it, look at what that is. I wonder what the artist did there. I wonder what and you walk around and you make comments. You're observing all the time. That's exactly what the leadership platform is. Everything that you say or don't say, everything that you do or don't do, every twitch, every little wink that you make, everything that you do is observed. And people will talk about it. They're going to go back and they're going to discuss it. They're going to interpret whatever it is that you do. And it may not be right. So from a leadership perspective, you always have to be aware that people are always observing you. And that's not just for if you have the title of leader, it's everybody, right? They're always being observed.
Yeah. So to that, employee, the job seeker that says, I just don't want to be a leader. That's just not who I am. It's just not in me to do that.
And again, it's not about you being the title of a leader. It's about having those capabilities that you need to do to be successful within the job. Those attributes that you look at as leadership, there's maybe one that's really different, right? Leaders are required to create a vision. Everything else, it's exactly the same.
Yeah. Do you think that the word leadership scares some people?
I think it does.
Yeah.
I think often we put this big, like, whoa, bubble around a leader, right? And if you look at it, again, integrity, respect,
Honesty, all of those.
values, make decisions, do the right thing. We want everyone to do that, right?
Everybody wants that person on their team.
Yep.
What are some things people need to know about leadership?
Well, they need to know a couple things. First of all, whatever you do, whatever you say, it matters, right?
Words matter.
Words absolutely matter all the time. And they matter from helping people be successful to negatively impacting the culture, right? So when you talk about words matter, here's a really interesting thing. Like if you're a leader and you have people reporting into you, you have a community. And one of the things that happens with a community is that people want to belong. People always want to belong to something, right? So if you choose words that may make people feel like they aren't a part of that community, all of a sudden, all that stuff in the back of their brain, that very historical, evolutionary stuff, kicks in. And they start getting nervous and upset and concerned, and we don't know why their behavior changes. We have to realize that as leaders, whatever we say, it matters because people are looking to you for acceptance, for guidance. And if you give them the opposite, it can have a very detrimental effect. On the other hand, if you go ahead and actually, help people and give them good guidance and give them good words and praise, that goes a long way. They want to do more for you. It encourages them, it motivates them.
Yeah, I'm just thinking about that. It's just so critical. I'm thinking about that person who says, but the leader on our team is the manager or the supervisor, but it's everyone, and they all have to have that.
Right. There's, it's interesting you say that. I was just doing a story where people will say, I'm a manager or I'm a leader, and they'll give you the list of attributes of a manager and the list of attributes of a leader. The bottom line is there's a mix of both.
Yeah.
You don't, there are capabilities and skills. You are not just this or that. Both of those have a skill base along with them, and lots of times they cross over.
And when you say words matter, it's words and all the things that you do matter. It's whether it's coming, something you're saying, or it's your social media and all of those
Oh my
things,
gosh,
right?
social media. So if you're a job seeker, let's talk about being a job seeker right now. Social media is so critically important. Everything that you say and everything that you do. Remember, when you're on a platform and you're on stage and they're walking around and you're that statue in the middle of the museum room, that includes your social media. They will go look up your Facebook. They'll look up your Instagram. They'll look up anything that you have put out there, and you are now being judged or
based
assessed.
on that. We're going to go into that a little bit more when we come back. How's that?
That's
all right.
great.
Up next, Barbara and I will continue the leadership discussion as it relates to social media and communication. We'll be right back after these very important public service announcements.